Sport Corriere della Sera. How has your approach to having to face a player with one of the highest basketball IQs in history evolved during these 4 years in the finals? Do you feel a little bit more comfortable as a team and as a player?
Yeah, I mean, in the finals, it brings the best out of you, and when the competition is as great as it has been every year we've been here facing LeBron and teams that he's been with, it tests you mentally and physically to get through these series. And looking back 2015, 2016 last year and this year, there's been so many different challenges that we've faced, and some we've succeeded at, some we haven't. And definitely a better player than I was before these 4 series have started, and hopefully there'll be an appreciation for that when it's all said and done.
LeBron just said that in order to win this series and games in the finals, you need to be, besides having talent, you need to be cerebral. So what's the state of mind and the mindset you need to have now to close the series?
Just understand the details of defensively what we need to do against a team like Cleveland with the threats that they have. Understanding that Game 4 is going to be the toughest game that we've played in this series to close it out, and we're going to need energy, effort, focus from every guy that steps foot on the floor for 48 minutes, and kind of like we did in Game 3, where we know they're going to throw some crazy punches, and we got to be able to weather the storm and their runs and the crowd and the atmosphere and all that. Just try to keep our composure as best we can. Whether shots go in or they don't, or calls go your way or they don't, no matter what the score is, you got to keep fighting, keep playing, because closeout games are the hardest things that you can ever experience in the playoffs.
Tim in the back row.
Tim Reynolds with the Associated Press. Steph, you guys are grown accustomed to winning 65, 67, 73, whatever the numbers have been the last 3 years. In a couple of ways, does you almost appreciate this run more because you guys had to show maybe a lot more toughness this season, had to deal with a lot more adversity this season than you had in the past 3? Does it almost make you appreciate what you guys are about to do more, given the journey that you've been on this year?
At the end of every season and run that we've had, there's always an appreciation for the things you learn, things you've gone through. Going into this season, I don't think anybody could have guessed or predicted, the ups and downs and the roller coasters we've been on. So definitely a different year, just overall. Personally with injuries, as a team with dealing with injuries, dealing with the kind of expectations that have been placed on us from the outside and the noise around us as a team. We're trying to understand that throughout the regular season we had to continue to get better, whether that was a slow process or not, and understand when the playoffs came around that probably wouldn't go 16-1 to win a championship. It's probably going to be a lot harder because teams are keying in on us and shifting up their lineups and things like that. And it's kind of been that's been how it's been. And I think for us to do what we did in the conference finals and win a Game 7 on the road, we'd never done that before. And now be 1 game away. It's been a crazy ride. So now we just got to finish the job, and I think we're all excited about that opportunity.
Back left.
Dan Feldman, NBC Sports. Steph, there's a video going around of you kind of yelling into your jersey right after you left the court last night. What was going through your mind at that point?
Obviously happy to get the win. It was a tough game all the way around, and when you go through that kind of competitive experience for 48 minutes, it's a sense of relief walking off the floor with a win. Obviously, I always say I'm my biggest critic and would have loved to make a couple more shots earlier in the game and things like that. So sometimes you have to get rid of those thoughts and understand that there's another opportunity on Friday to rectify that. But we're walking off the floor up 3-0, having won a game on the road, and definitely a sense of relief and just getting those emotions out.
Is that a conscious decision you've made at some point, that when you need to let those emotions out, to do it after the game, before you get in here with us, like that's the right time, or is that just when it happened to come out last night?
I've never thought to walk up here on the podium and just yell. So, nah, I never had that impulse. But usually, like I said, when you're in that pressure type environment on the court, and there's 20,000 fans screaming at you for 2.5 hours, when you walk off the court and you're in the tunnel, walking in the locker room, there's a little time to decompress a little bit. It might come out a bunch of different ways. But yesterday, I just wanted to just yell and get it over with.
Phil on the front left.
Hey, Steph. Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. 2 full years with Kevin now and a lot of success, obviously. But are there times when you still find yourself sort of feeling out who has the hot hand at a given time, or when you need to take over a little bit and when you need to sort of defer to Kevin a bit?
Not really. I mean, it's been very, very fluid, especially this year. Been well documented, last year how it went up until we were in this building, I think over the Christmas Day game, and us having kind of a come to Jesus meeting afterwards about, what we needed to do differently to build some momentum down the stretch of that season to get ready for the playoffs. But this year has been a lot more comfortable, a lot more just understood how we feel out the game and what plays to call, and understand we all can be aggressive. We're not going to step on anybody's toes. We all understand that we'll have an opportunity to impact the game, whether it's for stretches of the game or play here, play there. But we all need to be aggressive and be threats and be confident out there. And it's been fun to be on that journey and kind of learn a new system within an old system pretty quickly these last 2 years.
Ramona, back left.
Steph, Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. So LeBron said last night, and then I think he just said it again just now, that since you guys have gotten Kevin, there's sort of less pressure on each of you guys individually. You can have a bad game, and Kevin can have a night like that. Do you agree with the statement that there's less pressure on you guys individually? And two, if you don't agree with it, what is that pressure that you guys feel individually?
I mean, yeah, if a game happened like last night and I shot 3 for 16 and we had guys scoring under 15 without KD having the game he had, it would have been a lot tougher to win. But pressure, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I feel like every time we step foot on the floor, we put pressure on ourselves to be great, and whether you live up to it or not, you gotta be okay with it, your effort and your intensity and whatnot, and the result of the game. But we don't win 70 or whatever, we won 67 games last year, and go through the journey that we did this year without everybody feeling a sense of pressure and sense of urgency every night that you step foot on the floor, whether you get the job done or not. We all want to show up and do our jobs at a high level, because that's what got us all to where we are, today as individual players and as a team. So KD definitely falls into that. He helps the situation, but I don't think that takes. We don't walk on the floor and just, there's KD. All right, we're good. Like we still have to play and play hard and play well.
Gary, last one in the back left.
Ross from Boston Globe. How different are the Cavaliers without Kyrie Irving?
I mean, he's an unbelievable player, and I don't know much about how much their schemes have changed. With they run a lot more sets to try to get guys and open shots, outside of LeBron creating and things like that. So it's just different, but I don't really know how to explain it. Kyrie is such a unique talent. You can just give him the ball and try to help him. He can create a shot for you, but. They're much more, bent on executing in the half court and trying to, create shots with movement, with screens and things like that. And obviously, you can just give the ball to LeBron and he can create, most times than not. So it's my best way of explaining it.
Thank you, Steph. Kevin Durant will be right up. We'll take first question here in the second row.
Kevin, Paul Antunes, ESPN Brazil. With the way LeBron James been playing in the postseason, lots been said about him maybe even winning the MVP of the finals, even if his team loses. What's your perspective on that, on maybe a losing team having the MVP?
I really don't have one on that, actually.
If
I'm sure LeBron would.
If you had a vote,
I'm
do you
sure
think?
LeBron wouldn't accept that. I mean, he's a winner. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's a winner. I don't look at him as a guy that would be okay with that. But I just want to. I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that one.
Robert?
Robert Littell, BSO. One of the things that we've seen in the playoffs are fans being a little bit more bold in how they're approaching players. You had a great game last night. You had a couple of Cavs fans that out by your hotel, heckling you. What do you say to those fans that have maybe been crossing the line and getting in the athlete's face and some of the language that they're using when they're talking to you?
I don't think it's crossing the line. I mean, because whoever's screaming and heckling at grown men, even after the game, I think that's just pure ignorance. So it's like that's just who they are at that point. So I get it.
When those guys at your hotel last night, you asked them what did they say? Is that something where you're just trying to say, hey, if you're going to say it to me, say it to my face, don't hide it, and stuff like that?
No, I mean I just kept hearing somebody say KD, and I didn't hear what they said after that. I just wanted to know what they said. I wasn't going to do nothing. I just wanted to hear what they were talking about.
Gary over here.
Kevin, Gary Wasserman, Boston Globe. Kind of off topic. Just want to get your thoughts on the one and done rule. And
great time, man.
The second question is, your workout with Portland when you were entering the draft apparently blew their minds, but they still took Odin. What do you recall about that workout with the Blazers?
I think the one and done rule should be done. I think you should give players more avenues to pursue their career as basketball players. If they want to leave school early and pursue a basketball career, why not? I think it's on them to make that decision. If it doesn't pan out, then that's on them. But if it does, I think it's great that you give them a couple outlets to do so. My workout with Portland was I thought it could have been better. When they were saying it was a great workout, I knew it wasn't as great as they were saying. But I figured at that point they knew who they were going to draft. They just wanted to just do the due diligence, I guess.
Tom, back left.
Tom Withers, AP. KD, you know LeBron as well as anyone. How driven do you think he is now to try to bring down this team you guys have put together? And do you think he'll go somewhere else to try to assemble a super team to bring down the Warriors?
I have no clue. I only know LeBron from just who he is. In our up-close personal relationship, and we never talked about basketball, so I don't know.
Over here on the right.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. One of the big topics sort of is going around today is the importance of basketball IQ, the ability to think the game at the highest level. Obviously, that was an important deciding factor when you made your choice about where you wanted to go in free agency. How does that help at a team level in a situation like this when you're in these high-pressure moments? And what have you seen from your team this year as opposed to in years gone by?
I think the experience just helps, just going through it. That trial and error is only going to make you a better player. We got a lot of guys that got a lot of experience in the NBA, especially after the playoff run last year. And then we added, having Nick, an 11-year veteran who's been through so much, play with some great players. Then you bring in a guy like Quinn, who's still, figuring his way out in the league, but understands what hard work is. So you just got different journeys for different guys, and they provide just a different perspective. And I think that's what makes up a great team.
All the way in the back.
Kelly Johnson, NBC Sports Bay Area. Kevin, I was talking to Draymond about just how much he loves to play defense and how he continues to find ways to leave his imprint on the game. I'm curious, what is it like playing with Draymond on the defensive into the floor, his intensity, his expectations, his communication. Have you ever played with anybody quite like him?
I play with guys with that same type of intensity, but his talent and feel is different. His feel for just knowing what to do is 2 or 3 plays ahead. But on the defensive side of the ball, you just want somebody that you can trust and that somebody that you know that's going to go to war with you. And that's something going into a game I don't even think about with Draymond. I just know it's going to happen with him. And just having that trust and that somebody that you know is going to be there, you don't even have to worry about that side of it. You can just focus on something else. So it's different when you got to worry about if somebody going to come to war. Draymond is just always ready. Always ready, I'm sorry.
Connor?
Kevin, Connor Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. What has LeBron meant to you in your career, and what has it meant to you to be able to face him on this stage for several times now?
What he's meant to me, I just think I don't know about that one. I think somebody that you can always look at, and when you're working out and strive to be better than, and strive to kind of go through the same experiences as somebody like that, looked at as one of the top 5 greatest players to ever play the game and playing in the same era. That's rare, to have a player like that playing at the same time you are. So you're watching tendencies, movements, you're watching, just actions on the basketball court. He talks to his teammates, you're just watching through from afar. And, try to pick up some things because he's a little older. So I think in that way, just, same way I looked at Kobe and Tim Duncan and those guys, just who at the elite level, who've experienced more, you just try to learn from by just watching from afar. I think LeBron's been a good model when it comes to that. But just being able to play against somebody at the highest stage, the highest level, just brings out the best in both of us. It just makes the games better.
Shelley, towards the back.
Shelley Smith from ESPN. In what way is this team more locked in right now than it was last year?
It's different, man. I keep telling people it's just a different vibe. I mean, because we've been through a season with each other already as champions, going through a whole season. So, we know exactly what we need to do in order for us to win. And, so we want to do that, focus on that as much as possible. And the emotions and all of that stuff doesn't really matter. We just try to play a solid, focused game, and we'll figure out how to feel afterwards. So we just try to, it's just different. It's like I told someone earlier, I think Kanye West's first album is his best one because I didn't hear an album from him before. So the first one is always a little different, but he has some great music after that as well. So I feel like we're in that transition from having a great first year, but figuring out different ways to be good in the second year. So if that makes sense.
JaVale McGee called it a beautiful thing.
Oh, definitely. If you listen to JaVale, he has all the answers.
Last 2 questions on the left side.
Kevin, Brad Watkins, CBS Sports. Steve talked last night about how decisive you were with the ball. Is that a conscious decision on your part going into the game, or is that more how they're defending you and the fact that Steph and Clay were both off by their standards?
I just know when I rush, I'm not as good as I want to be. If I take my time and be patient, I can dictate and control everything. So I'd rather control everything than be, reacting to someone else out there. So I just try to be as patient as I could, but still, be strong with the basketball.
Is that a tough balance to stay patient when you know that kind of the longer you do hold the ball, or anyone holds the ball for that matter, things do bog down? Is that a tough balance to be patient and decisive at the same time?
Nah, because when we throw the ball into Draymond, we still move, we still cut. So I expect the same when I get the ball, and my teammates do that. So as long as I hold the ball, if everybody keeps moving, if I don't find nothing, then I can go to work.
Melissa, last question.
Melissa Rowland, Bay Area News Group. LeBron was talking about how the challenge around the league is not only to find a group of guys as skilled as the Warriors, but as intelligent as the Warriors. Is intelligence kind of a less appreciated aspect in a locker room? And what's it like being in the Warriors locker room in terms of everybody's collective IQ?
I think as basketball players, we should all be offended if intelligence isn't the first thing you think about when you're looking at basketball players. I compare us to musicians, I compare us to artists, to architects, to surgeons, I compare us to the highest at any field, because what we do is hard. We're one percenters in the world, so when you walk into any locker room in the NBA, I expect you to think that all of these guys are intelligent at what they do, and I think that's a underrated trait from somebody outside of the league, from outside of the locker rooms, because they don't realize how hard the game is, I think, sometimes. But, you know, it's hard to find intelligence, character, unselfishness all at the same time. And that's rare in any profession, I think.
Thank you, Kevin. This concludes the session for today. Practice is open for a short while out in the court.